Okay, so we're going to start, we're going to discuss the dangers of family court, specifically for Black Americans, why family court is not a place that you want to actually be. Um, and so the question, why stay out of family court? Well, one of the main reasons in staying out, it's a number of them, but it's a historical issue, definitely because of the present problems in the system. And then because there are positive alternatives that exist that Black families do not have to go through that process. Okay. Um, so the question is like, what is family court? So family court, also known as domestic court, handles disputes between family members. And this includes divorce, separation, spousal support, child custody, child support, adoption, child protective services, juvenile delinquency, paternity, foster care, and then orders of protection in regards a lot of times with domestic violence. A lot of times people don't realize that if you, let's say you have a divorce case and then you get a child protective services case or a um, child endangerment case, then most likely it will be placed underneath the jurisdiction of family court. And so those same judges that rule on divorce or that rule on spousal support are the same judges that make the determinations for CPS, Child Protective Services, right? So this is all underneath this purview. Um, Again, what is family court? Family court is also a court of discretion. I am probably the biggest, from an advocate standpoint, I push this like crazy because there is a difference between a court of law and a court of discretion. Some don't agree with me, but it's the truth. So basically, family court is a court of discretion, not a court of law. A court of discretion is complete judicial discretion, which refers to a judge's power to make a decision based on their individualized evaluation, their own conscience, guided by understandings of the principles of law. Okay. Family court is a discretionary jurisdiction. What that means is that judge can look at you, does not have to follow certain procedure. Off of their discretion, they can completely look at you and say, hey, I'm I don't agree with this. We're not going to move forward in this process because of the best interests of the child. We're just going to move forward um, with what I feel and what I think. And I've seen so many multiple cases. You will have people, and right now you have a lot of people in family court that are screaming from the mountaintops, I didn't have trial, I wasn't heard, evidence wasn't seen because it was based off the judge's discretion. Technically, they did not have to. Now, judges who respect rule of law, judges who respect the system would not go there, but there's too much dependency on the belief that a judge will really follow, which I won't even get into that. Anyway, so family court is a discretionary jurisdiction. Discretionary jurisdiction is a power that allows a court to engage in discretionary review. Okay. And then also courts of law, they hear and they decide legal cases based on law procedure. Family courts do not have to follow procedure or even hear full details. Judicial discretion is the primary determinant. That's why you have so many that you will hear that will say their court cases are like what occurs in them is completely different because it's based off of the individual judge's discretion, or it's based off of the discretion of the district, or it's based off of the agenda of the area. And people don't realize that, but that occurs. Okay. So the other thing that you need to understand, family court is governed by state and local law. Family court is governed by state and local law. Procedures and conduct varies according to the jurisdiction. So according to the state, the county, the township, the district, again, everybody kind of has their own agenda. There is little to no federal oversight. Let me say that again. There is little to no federal oversight. Very minimum, um, if non-existent, really. Um, so family court can establish and dissolve family relationships. They can award custody and they can set plans to parent. They can order payments of support to family and or entities. They can divide the property and the debts. They can grant and decline protections. So this is a big thing for Black families. The reason why I'm like, hey, do not even set yourself up in this process. For Black people, for my Black Americans, family court historically, right, was auction blocks. Family court for us is auction blocks. There is a difference, right? And it started out with separating the families. Family court was never meant for us to stay together. It was meant for us to be separated. Okay? We were sold. It was actually, which is my next slide, it was actually in the slavery code. We were not allowed to marry. We were not allowed to read. We were not allowed to be heard. Our families were not allowed to keep together, to stay together. And the auctions that occurred, these slave auctions, were held on the steps of the courthouses. The same courthouses, the same land where many of these courthouses today, that's where our families were separated. That's the law that were in place. Those are the things that are happening. Let me tell you also, right now, many of the statutes, many of the references to many of the cases and justifications of what happens in family courts, guess what? It's still on the books and it's still being referred to today. Family court is not a safe place for Black families. It's not meant for you to keep your family or your loved ones or even be able to, in justice, break away or, be able to divorce properly. It's not. It's not. Stop going. There are other alternatives that you can go to.